Greetings, salutations, welcome to 2022. Happy New Year, all the best. Good vibes, man. And welcome to T3D. Right, this is the start of a new series of videos that I'm going to be doing covering sort of tech news articles, engineering news articles, CAD articles, anything that pops up in my newsfeed that I can add some commentary to and pass my opinions on that are up my street, things that I'm interested in. And it all started with this article, which almost felt like the journalist saw a video that I made and decided to criticize me personally. He didn't, because he wouldn't have saw my video, but it kind of felt that way. That and the article is one of the worst pieces of journalism that I've seen in a long time. It's almost a hit piece on an area of tech that I'm like quite passionate about, and I went from zero to rage in 2.3 seconds after reading this article, and I'm kind of still in rage mode, and I can't not talk about this. It's so infuriating. But the video that I'm talking about is one of mine that I made back in November. You wouldn't have saw it. Not many people did. It was very different to what I normally do. But the original title was, "Why are your kids asking for VR this Christmas?" Long story short, a lot of my friends and family were asking me what VR headset to buy for their kids for Christmas, because I'm that tech guy, right? And their kids were asking them. This year, a lot of kids are asking for VR. So I just said, get the Quest 2, told them the whys and what's good. The advice that I gave them, I repackaged it, made a video out of it, and that became that Parent's Guide to VR. Right. A couple of days ago, CNBC published an article that popped up in my newsfeed a couple of hours ago called, "Bought your kid VR headset for Christmas, have you? Well, you might end up regretting it." Of course, I'm looking at this going, what have I missed? What's going on? Because my brother's bought a Quest 2. One of my mates has bought one, I'll not name names, obviously. If you're watching this, you're fine. He's the head teacher at an Ofsted rated outstanding school. He's just bought his kids a VR headset, Quest 2. Wife works with someone who's just bought one as well. Loads of people that I know have bought one. And this is all to do with that, the Quest 2, right, from Facebook, Meta. It's basically, if you've bought one of these, you're going to regret it for all kinds of sinister reasons, which this article goes into. It's from a journalist called Ryan Brown, who I've never heard of. I don't follow journalists. I'm going to have to if I'm going to do a series like this. But this guy posts pictures of his breakfast, which is all I need to know about somebody. I'm going to do my best to keep personal insults to a minimum. I'm going to try and keep this professional. But, right, look, obviously I've read the article in its fullest. I have to. I've done my research. I've looked at the sources that he's used. I can't tell at this point if this guy is actually a stupid person and is incompetent. He's the tech journalist for CNBC, covering all things tech, but everybody knows that guy who's become the IT guy, because in a room full of people who don't know where the Windows Start button is, that one guy knows how to fix a printer, so by default they become the IT guy. Or if he's intentionally being malicious and he's created a scaremongering, fear-mongering article, misleading at that, to capitalize on the Christmas sales of the Quest 2, knowing fine well that there's going to be thousands of people hitting up Google looking for tutorials, guides, games, advice on the Quest 2, and he's wanting to just get traffic over to the CNBC. And whatever it takes, just do whatever it takes to bring people over to the CNBC. Write whatever you've got to write, even if it's absolute horse shit. Just pure selfish reasons, really. Get a pat on the back from his editor, boost his bona fide, right? You know, just boost his own profile internally within the CNBC, his own little corner of the world, get himself a little bonus, little pay rise, get himself a little better condo in his corner of the world, whilst trampling all over the VR industry, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake, is what I suspect this is. But anyway, let's talk about this. The key points. This is his opening statement to the jury, building his case. So Facebook parent company Meta's Oculus virtual reality headsets were a popular gift for Christmas. Is it the only thing he got right here? But the Quest 2, the company's most popular headset, doesn't come with the option to turn on parental controls. There have been several instances of abuse and harassment in the popular VR chat room service VRChat, according to the Center for Countering Digital Hate. So I'll just summarize his opening statement here. What he's saying here, what Ryan is saying to all parents who've bought a Quest 2, is they're saying, you're going to regret it because it doesn't have any parental controls. Therefore, your child is going to end up using this VR chat and they're going to be subject to abuse and harassment according to this very authoritative regulatory body. And you're going to end up regretting it. And he's implying that you're a bad person. You're a bad parent. Not much ambiguity to it. It's basically emphasized all the way down through the article. Except the entire article is full of utter bullshit and horse crap and hee-haw. Because, for reasons I'll go through. Right. Let's start with, doesn't come with the option to turn on parental controls. Yes, it does. In fact, the Quest 2 has the strongest form of parental controls. All you would have needed to do is 5 seconds of research by going to what I guess journalists like Ryan would call the Google, is just how to lock the Quest 2, and it's right there. That's it. That's all you needed to do. Go to Oculus's own support page, and you realize that it has an unlock pattern, which if you go to images, it looks a little something like this. In fact, The Verge has got their own little picture of it, showing you what it looks like. It's a lock pattern. What that means is, for example, when my daughter comes over, she's not that much older than Ryan, actually, she's 8. If she wants to use my Quest 2 and get into VR, she can't. How? It's parental controlled. She has to ask me to unlock it first. Doesn't get much more parental controlled than that. Any responsible journalist would have done a bit of research first and found that out. But nope, that wouldn't have made for an exciting article. It would have been damaging to his case, and it would have pretty much stopped there. But nope, he decided to either ignore that or not do his research and cracked on anyway. Now, I must admit, and I have admitted, because I talked about it quite extensively in this video, the Quest App Store doesn't have any app filtering, which means once you're in VR, it's pretty much open season. All the apps there are, you can download whatever you want. However, the apps are curated, so there's no malicious actual apps. They're all checked by Facebook first before they go to the App Store, but the behavior of the people within the apps can't be monitored. But the apps themselves are curated. So Oculus could do better with restricting certain apps to certain people. However, what Ryan also fails to mention at this point, and isn't represented by his title, is that you can't or shouldn't be able to use the Quest 2 unless you have a Facebook account, which you can't create unless you're 13 years or older, which is in itself a parental control. So unless you're 13 or older, you really shouldn't be using the Quest 2. That's a parental control. Right, there's been several instances of child that and harassment in the popular VR chat room service, VR Chat. Right, let's talk about this as well. Because again, this just throws the whole article under the bus, really. VR Chat. What Ryan is saying here and is implying is that an unsuspecting parent is going to hand little Johnny the VR headset, and within half an hour, he's going to be on this VR chat service being exposed to bad actors and abuse and harassment. When in fact, VR chat isn't even installed on the device. VR chat isn't even an Oculus app. Personally, before I read this article, I'd never even heard of it. No idea what it was. It's got around 9,000 ratings on the App Store. So there's a few people using it, but you have to know what it is. You will have to have heard of it to then go to the App Store to find it, download it, and start using it. That's the only way you will be exposed to the potential people who are doing this. Now, here's another thing. Now, I don't want to make light of this. Absolutely not. It's the lowest form of human behavior. It's despicable. It's absolutely disgusting. One instance of this in any walk of life is one instance too many. But this Center for Countering Digital Hate, who I'll talk about more later on, they've cited several instances being found on this chat room service. Several instances means 5 to 7. There's millions of Oculus devices in circulation. And they also didn't cite how many instances were discovered over what time frame? Is this over a year, over a week, over 3 years, over 6 months? What I'm getting at is that doesn't sound to me like a systemic issue. It could well be that the CNBC are misrepresenting the Center for Countering Digital Hate and are excluding quite critical details. I don't know. I've been to their website, and this Center for Countering Digital Hate have presented different metrics to what's being stated here. In fact, I'll just show you that. Right, the Center for Countering Digital Hate. I must admit, these guys do not come across as being all that credible. But here, the researchers have apparently spent hours on the metaverse, and apparently they found instances of abuse that is so shocking that they can't work or share it. All of that stuff, that's what's been quoted in Ryan's article. But they referenced something like every 7 seconds of something of that description. We found abusive and harmful content every 7 minutes. But that's different to what Ryan has wrote. Ryan just put there's been several instances. But if harmful content is being found every 7 minutes, that's far more dramatic than just saying several instances. So I don't know if Ryan's kind of asked these guys to back this up, and they couldn't. Because that sounds far more frightening than just saying several instances. That does sound concerning, but the fact that Ryan didn't use that suggests that maybe there isn't actually anything to back that up. I don't know, but I'm going to cover these guys a bit more later on. All I'm saying is it doesn't sound like a systemic issue to the platform itself. It's a specific app that's not even installed by default. Parents don't have anything to worry about, providing that you're being responsible, is all I'm saying. As long as you're monitoring your child, you've got your device pattern locked so they can't get into it whilst you're not there. There is no story here. All right, parents who bought their child a virtual reality headset for Christmas could be in for a nasty surprise. There's no nasty surprises. The app is not installed by default. Providing you're being a responsible adult, there's no surprises. Oculus have experienced surging sales over the holidays, which is good. The parent company, the Oculus is the most popular headset. It's the only one they sell, to be honest. It doesn't come with the option to turn on parental controls that let responsible adults block 18-plus content and other material that may be harmful for kids. I must admit, I do get a bit triggered hearing CNBC preach and address responsible adults, given that I've been using this for the last year with my daughter, who's, again, not much older than Ryan. She's 8. Everyone's perfectly safe. So the fact that they keep on saying that or implying that everyone's in danger due to the lack of these parental controls is quite annoying. In fact, it's quite insulting, to be honest, because it's implying that I'm not capable of managing this and my daughter. When in fact what we really need here is responsible journalists who aren't just fear-mongering and scaremongering. But responsible adults should be perfectly capable of buying a virtual reality headset and having an absolute great time with their kids with it. Other headsets such as... And this is where you realise that this is either a hit piece on VR in general or a hit piece on the Quest 2. I don't know yet. Or Ryan just doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. But other headsets, such as HTC's Vive and the Valve Index, also don't include safety features. You might end up regretting buying a Quest 2. This whole thing is a hit piece on the Quest 2. But then he goes on to say, well, actually, pretty much every other major VR headset on the market, none of them either really have any child safety features and parental controls. So where's your story, mate? What's your point? You're going in hard on the Quest 2 because it doesn't have any parental controls and saying it's dangerous, but then you basically say, well, actually, none of the other ones do either. So what are you saying? Are you saying VR in general across the board is dangerous? Or are you saying, actually, this is all to do with the Quest 2? Which one is it? the fact that you've put the Quest 2 in here and it's all Facebook, Meta, Oculus, Quest 2 suggests that you know this is the start of your article. This is where the SEO is. This is a hit piece. This is to get traffic, isn't it? That's what this is about. Although HTC says this headset isn't suitable for children, it is possible to set parental controls for the PlayStation VR, which is a moot point because it's obsolete now. Nobody's writing apps for it. Aside from the possibility of kids encountering unsafe material, experts are also worried about the effects VR may have on children's eyes, although there is little data available on this. Could it be more obvious that this is a hit piece? This is where you realize when journalists add stuff into an article that just shouldn't be there. Or frankly, you could substitute this with literally anything else and it would sound equally as ridiculous. Experts are worried about the effects VR has on children's eyes, but there's no data. Experts are concerned about how VR headsets are going to cause children's heads to explode, but there's no data. Experts are concerned about how aeroplanes are going to convert into blocks of cheese mid-flight and the friction caused by high-velocity air travel at such high altitudes is going to cause this sudden change in mass to cheese is going to cause the plane to melt, causing passengers still sat in their seats to fall to their deaths in a fiery ball of mozzarella. Although there's no data to support that. Who are these experts? They're experts, mate. But there's no data. They're experts, though. You could substitute that with literally anything and it would be equally as utterly ridiculous. I mean, the citation is just another news article saying there's no data to support any of this. It's ridiculous. Shocking journalism. Meta has made VR a crucial focus of its business. The company's rebrand from Facebook has fueled renewed interest in VR, a technology that has long struggled to gain significant commercial traction. Do you know why VR has struggled to gain significant commercial traction? It's because of people like this, creating negativity, hit pieces, fear-mongering amongst the industry and amongst the technology. It's you. You're the problem. You are the reason why there's a slow uptake on VR. Your selfish endeavors are causing negativity amongst the technology, because anybody who's never used VR, has never experienced it, doesn't own one, but maybe comes across this garbage article for their sins, are going to see VR, they're going to see regretting it, they're going to see abuse, they're going to see Quest 2, they're going to see harassment, backed up by some, what they would think is an authoritative regulatory body, and they're going to have that negative connotation, that negative association, planting that seed of negativity. And then the next time that person has a conversation with somebody who's mentioning VR, I don't know, a friend or a colleague or a family member thinking about buying a Quest 2. Actually, before you do that, I read an article on, I think it was the CNBC, something about it's rife with abuse and harassment. Just don't go anywhere near it with, don't let your kids use it because it's honestly, it was this article on the CNBC, so it's legit. And then that's how things spread. That's how people go, oh, really? Oh, I'll give that a miss then. Oh, I thought it would be much better than that. You did that. You. Why? For your own personal gain. So you can get the pat on the back from your editor, so you can get the Christmas traffic, benefit from all the people doing searches. You didn't think at all about how that would affect the industry, the future of VR. Nope, not too given. Don't give a flying a high wind. You just thought, let's just capitalize on the Christmas traffic, get everyone over to the website, whatever the cost, whatever it takes. It's totally, utterly selfish. Absolutely raging. I really am. Really reining it in right now, but wow. Meta said its terms of service do not allow children under the age of 18 to create accounts. That's a parental control in itself. And that this information is included in the setup process. All the Oculus content is rated through the International Age Rating Coalition. The fact that Oculus is saying that all of their apps actually are age rated suggests that the framework is there to have parental controls and app filtering. They're probably just waiting for them to abolish the Facebook account requirement before they turn it on. because that in itself is like a blanket parental control. The fact that you can't use the app, the device without having a Facebook account, by default is a parental control. And the pattern lock is a parental control. I think you'll find once that requirement is abolished, the fact that they're saying all the apps are already age rated, that metadata is already there, it'll probably be enabled when they go to just regular accounts and logins. The dark side of it, honestly, this is just absolutely ridiculous. It's comical. There is nothing to this story that warrants a bold subtitle, The Dark Side of VR. Where's the dark side here? Right, let's talk about the Centre for Countering Digital Hate, because that is the source of this article. That's what Ryan's using as the source. They're the foundation, the core, who've done the research and they've provided the evidence that there's abuse and harassment on the Quest 2 that everyone should be concerned about, resulting in them regretting buying the devices, putting their children at risk. They're a non-profit that campaign for big tech firms to root out hate from their platforms. So this sounds like a noble cause. Now, when I first read this, I thought, okay, campaigning for tech firms to root out hate. Online bullying and harassment is a huge problem. YouTube have just done the dislike removal, right, to get rid, allegedly. Right? Obviously, it wasn't, but it's a thing at the moment. It's a hot topic. It's a hot potato. Nobody wants it. Nobody likes online bullying and harassment. So a non-profit campaigning for that sounds like a noble cause. Unfortunately, when you look into these guys, there's no these guys. It's one guy running something out of his house, by all accounts. If I wanted to, I could start a non-profit campaigning for whatever I want in the next 10 minutes. I could campaign for all cars to be made out of lasagna running off apple juice. That doesn't give me any credibility to be behind an article such as this. But, that the size of the quotes organization doesn't really instantly diminish their credibility. What does, though, is what they've said in the rest of this article, unfortunately, because their credibility and reputation really, and from my point of view, just goes down the toilet when you start hearing what this guy starts saying. I've been on their website as well, and it's quite apparent. They've got Rachel Riley as an ambassador. Rachel Riley is like a Z-list celebrity in the UK. She used to be the mathematician on Countdown. She does various celebrity appearances on various TV shows. An ambassador basically is an unpaid representative of an organization who does a couple of phone calls a year and is a public face of an organization, right? That's what an ambassador is. Other than that, there is one employee in this organization, and that's Imran, who's the head of it. Right. So the Centre for Countering Digital Hate, a non-profit, found several instances of abuse, harassment and racism on the popular chat room service VRChat, which is available on Oculus. One clip shared features a user playing a recording praising abuse, which another shows someone joking about being a convicted offender with a minor present. The organization, so yes, that does sound pretty bad, which it is. There's no excusing any of that in any walk of life, on any platform. But this is where I read, this is where I lost all respect for the organization, to be honest, because they said VR headsets are not safe for kids regardless of the absence of parental controls. Now, I'm sorry, but you can't go there. You can't say that, because the entire article is about how the Quest 2 is unsafe because it doesn't have parental controls. Children are subjected to potential abuse and harassment because there's no parental controls. Yet, the Centre for Digital Hate have just then gone and said, well, actually, even if there was parental controls, they're still unsafe. Based on what, mate? Based on what? How? How? What you got? I don't know. You can't say that. So Imran Ahmed, the chief executive of himself, said the metaverse is a haven of hate and grooming that connects users not just to each other but to an array of predators. Imran, in all honesty, sounds like he's confusing the metaverse with the internet. And he then goes on to say something even more ridiculous, which I couldn't quite believe. I had to reread several times over. Any parent who gifted Facebook's VR Oculus headset for a Christmas gift needs to be aware that they are potentially exposing their children to serious danger. I'm sorry, Imran, but you need to off and get back in your box, because what you've just basically said is that I'm putting my child in serious danger on a daily basis. I've advised hundreds, thousands of people to put the children in serious danger. Head teacher that I'm aware of has just put his kids in serious danger, when in fact nobody is in serious danger. I've been using this device with my daughter for the last year, and we are both absolutely 100% perfectly safe. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. Buying a kid a shotgun for Christmas is putting them in serious danger. Buying them a kitchen knife set for Christmas is putting them in serious danger. This isn't. I mean, I would say if you want to jump on a Teams and a Zoom call with me and let's talk about how I've put them in serious danger, then I'd be more than willing to discuss it. But honestly, I don't think you've got the faculties to do that. You come across as somebody who's absolutely terrified of technology, doesn't understand it, and you're just shouting out of a megaphone the ramblings of a madman and just want the whole lot abolished because you don't understand it. That's kind of what this comes across as. Possibly, maybe you want kids to go back to how things were in the 1920s, where kids skipped through fields holding hands with their friends, singing songs, carrying strawberry baskets, wicker baskets, picking raspberries, and writing on scribes and stuff with carrier pigeons flying overhead and whatever. It's not how the world is, mate. The world is how the world is, but as long as parents are being responsible, we can all enjoy the technology that we're blessed with growing up with and that we have today. We don't need people like you preaching at all of us, telling us that we're putting everyone in serious danger. Honestly, you can't just go and off and stop fear-mongering. That's what you're doing. You're fear-mongering. These are perfectly safe as long as they're just used responsibly. And responsible adults are capable of doing that. We don't need nannied. Meta has said that it will invest $50 million in global research and program partners to ensure its metaverse products are developed responsibly. Now, I don't know what $50 million is in context of the overall metaverse program that they're working on, but it sounds like a lot. Regarding VR chat, this is where the whole argument again just disintegrates from their point of view. And I don't know why Meta, aka Facebook, are even dignifying CNBC with response, but Christina Milian told CNBC that the game, aka VR chat, is a cross-platform app, meaning that at any given time, players connecting from the Quest may be interacting with players connecting from another platform. This is where Ryan really should have just stopped, just binned this entire article and moved on to something else, wrote about something else. Either that, or he doesn't understand what he's writing, or he doesn't care and just plowed on ahead, hoping that nobody really understands what he's writing about and just reads the title. And as long as he's got them to the website, that's all that matters. Because what Christina's basically said is the research that Imran, chief executive of himself, has come up with is that the abuse, which is disgusting and despicable, could have been happening on any device. It could have been happening on a Valve Index. The person portraying, just doing the abuse, could have been on an HTC Vive, not on a Quest. And them doing that, other people on other devices will have also seen that. So someone on a Vive will have seen someone doing it on a Vive. It's not just a Quest 2 thing. It just so happens that this app is cross-platform, meaning that if you're on a Quest 2 and you're connected to somebody doing it, you will also see it. It's like if someone's playing a game that you can use a Nintendo Switch, an Xbox, and a PlayStation. All three of those games can play together. And somebody on the Xbox decides to, I don't know, draw a picture of a dick on a wall. The people on the Switch will see it, and the people on the PlayStation will also see it. That does not mean the Switch is a center of hate, because it happened on the Xbox and the person on the PlayStation also saw it. That is exactly what's happening here. But the fact that Ryan decided to just hone in on the Quest 2 and blame that for everything just kind of goes to prove this is a hit piece. And it's to ride the traffic, because saying that it's a VR problem and, I don't know, maybe the Vive, focusing on the Vive or the Valve Index, that wouldn't have got as much traffic because people aren't, there's not a surge of Vive purchases or Index purchases this Christmas. The motives are pretty clear. This means the Quest users can report and block others, but we cannot take action against people who are not on our platform. Obviously, a spokesperson for the makers of VR Chat wasn't immediately available for comment when contacted by CNBC, obviously, because they didn't want to dignify this ridiculous article with a response. Now, the rest of the article is what parents think, and honestly, it's not worth reading. There's just a couple of people in here who are, one person's an absolute idiot. He basically says, it's this Eric guy. He's like, I didn't buy a Quest 2 because there's no parental controls. He's a software engineer. I'm like, what? You're a software engineer and you couldn't Google the pattern control? And then he's like, I hope they add parental controls soon because it's a parent's worst nightmare. I'm supposed to respect his opinion because not having parental controls on the Oculus Quest 2 is a parent's worst nightmare, as opposed to what? Cancer for your kids? Or getting hit by a bus, or your kids going missing? No, they're not your parents' worst. That's not a parent's worst nightmare. No parental controls on the App Store is. It's like, turn it in. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. That's this outrageous, misleading, fear-mongering article from this guy who frankly doesn't care what he's writing and is quite happy to soil the VR industry and leave a trail of destruction for his own personal gain, his own selfish endeavors. But as long as his editor's happy with him and he's potentially working towards a bigger condo in London or wherever he lives, then that's all that matters. As long as you're all right, mate. As long as you're all right, that's all that matters. But if you've bought a VR headset for Christmas for your kids, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with it. You're perfectly safe. I've been using this with my daughter for the last year. We have a great time. There's a bit of research that Ryan probably didn't do. When your daughter or your son starts using VR, just cast what they're seeing to your phone screen and you just can join in. That's what I do. My daughter starts using VR. I start seeing what she sees on my phone and she starts saying, Dad, I'm on the roller coaster. Who should I sit next to, Santa or the Goblin? And like, I can see what she's doing. Oh, you can sit next to the Goblin. Dad, should I make a waffle or a pancake? I can join in. I can see what she's doing. If she decides to shut the game down and go into the store, I can see her doing it. I can even go downstairs because it's Wi-Fi connected. Isn't technology fantastic? Tech reporter should surely know that. You can see what they're doing in VR. But no, it's perfectly safe. Absolutely 100% safe. There's nothing to worry about. It's just a fear-mongering article. But anyway, that's enough for this one. I'm going to leave it there. That's all I've got. Well, it's not actually. I've got a lot more, but I'm half an hour into this. But if you want to see more news like this, get subscribed, hit the bell to get more notifications and stuff like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Doodles.